listening to a band of gamers podcasting since 2012. Three older best mates share a few laughs and keep you current with discussions about the latest news, consoles, and games. Join the conversation and the community. abandofgamers.com. Hello, welcome back. ABOG
podcast.
In this episode, cloud gaming is now a reality. One of the big three takes a giant step. Made it sound like they're walking on the moon or something there with that intro.
Right?
Console Wars is back. That's because Sony bought a studio. And to obviously bolster their exclusive library. Microsoft and Sony both buying studios to get them exclusive games. Which, of course, puts it back in sort of a fighting, competitive landscape. I love it. Console Wars. Bring it. I love it. Totally love it. Nintendo finally announces that a new Switch SKU is coming. But is it the Pro? Is it the Pro we've been waiting for? And it's been rumored and talked about for a long time. What exactly is this? And while they're selling more Switches, another competitor enters the handheld console ring with this very large built-in gaming library. Dare I say, a much larger library than the Switch.
Oh, for sure.
Then we've got our beers, what we're drinking, and the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart review. Two of us three finished it. One of us is ashamed. Thank you for joining us. You can listen to our past episodes everywhere podcasts are available. A little list here of a few spots. You can check it out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, Pandora, YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and follow. Get the latest show in your feed right when it's released. I'm Joel, your MC, recording in Brookfield, Wisconsin, USA. Joining me on this journey, two of my best mates. First of all, from Birmingham, England, it's never coming home. It's Carl. What's never coming home, Carl?
Well, any kind of trophy for England, but it is what it is. Maybe in the World Cup, who knows? But it's been a great ride. What it's lasted, it's been a lot of fun. Brought the country together, this time of coronavirus craziness. So, yeah, good fun. And it's just another one of those sad memories now.
Yeah. Brought the country together and then very, very quickly tore it apart again.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Right? Hooligans, why?
Hooligans don't know what to lose a game, do they? Ridiculous. Yeah. Scumbags.
And then from Vancouver, Canada, close up of the sign that says "We never close." It's Shane.
Kyle.
What's going on, Shane?
Happening? It's been a couple weeks, right? It feels like a little bit longer than normal, I think.
Yeah, it has.
Right?
It's been a month, and I think prior to that, we hadn't missed time in a long time. But hey, as Carl just said before we hit record, life happens, man.
Really?
It
does.
And it's been 50 years since England was in the Euro finals. 50 years. And it just so happened that the last two of those games were on Sundays. And we have an 8-hour time difference between us from Vancouver all the way over to England. Sundays is the day. That's the only day we can record without having ridiculously early morning calls for Carl. Can't do weekdays. Doesn't work out.
Indeed.
We couldn't miss those games, right? We had to watch. I mean, all three of us were watching those matches.
Yeah.
That's right. Speaking of 50 years and finals and opportunities, my Milwaukee Bucks are in the finals. Also 50 years since they last won.
74?
74 is the last time they were there, and 71 is the last time they won.
71. Wow.
So 50 years exactly.
So exciting.
Totally.
Got my fingers crossed for you, man.
Thank you. Unfortunately, that's not happening on a podcast recording Sunday, so
no.
Try and get it back on track here.
Celebrations might be after.
Yeah, that might be a 50-year celebration. Let's go, boys.
Very true. And I told my wife if they win the game they won last night, Saturday night in Phoenix, Game 5, we are totally going to Game 6 in Milwaukee. We're big long-time Bucks fans, long-time suffering Bucks fans. We got to see this championship opportunity because they can. If they win the next game at home, they win the whole thing. They're world champions. And shit, I spent a lot of money on them tickets. Holy crap.
NBA champions.
World champions.
Hopefully they bring out and they dust off the old the old green and purples, from like the late 90s.
Yeah.
Bring that kit back. That was a beautiful Bucks kit.
It was mostly purple. A little bit of green. Those aren't, you look back at it fondly, but at the time, those are some ugly unis, man.
Right? The 90s had some horrible jerseys throughout all sports.
Yeah.
They were really getting, but it seems to be making a comeback. So who knows, maybe they'll don the cream cities. That's another beautiful kit.
I do like that uni. Hey, the 90s, the year of the Zubas. The decade of the Zubas and the styles, like some of those uniforms and I remember having like a starter jacket for my Green Bay Packers that looked like somebody splattered like paint on it. And I thought that was cool.
Right. That poncho.
Man, ugly. But we got a really cool tie-in too between the Bucks and Carl's Aston Villa team. I'm sorry, we're going off on sports here, but I just gotta. There's so much stuff going on in the sporting world right now that means so much to us here at ABOG. But the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks also owns the football club that Carl cheers for. We've got like a connection. And he was at the Bucks game in Phoenix wearing his Aston Villa shirt.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's super cool.
On camera. Was pretty awesome.
It always makes me smile. It does. And he seems like such a nice guy, Wes Edens, doesn't he? He seems such a nice chap. But it seems connected. We've got Grealish down the Villa and you've got Giannis at the Bucks. It's all coming together, boys. It's all coming together.
Antetokounmpo.
I love it. Let's get right into the news here. Xbox Cloud Gaming is now available everywhere via browser. It's a little bit of a backstory here. It's been available for a while on Android devices via an app. Apple decided to sort of fight them when they wanted to release an app on the iOS, on iPhones and iPads. Apple wanted money for every purchase. It just didn't work with the way their ecosystem is set up, because it's a one app that gives you access to all of these games, and they wanted to make Microsoft make those games individually available, and they wanted a piece of the action from each of those individual games, so the pricing model just doesn't work out. So Xbox took the back door and decided, fine, we'll just put it on your browser, on the Safari browser. So that is now up and running finally. So it's available everywhere. So if you're an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you can play it on Windows 10 PCs, Apple phones and tablets via the browser, and all of the Android devices. It's been available previously on, and apparently, I don't know the full details of this, and I tried looking it up before we recorded so I could have something to quote, but I couldn't find anything. I remember hearing this now a couple times in a couple places. But you can apparently stream to your older Xbox One consoles. So if you have an OG Xbox One or maybe like a Xbox One X, you can open an app in those consoles and play Xbox Series X games. So the cloud gaming was recently enhanced for Xbox. All games are now running on Xbox Series X consoles behind the scenes in the cloud. So you can take advantage of those faster load times, better processors, by playing through an app on your older Xbox One consoles. Does that make sense? Am I explaining that right?
Yeah.
It's got me thinking, I wonder if you'd be able to play them on the Dreamcast then.
Anything with the browser? No.
Sega Net? That'd be nice.
Right? Just about. It makes you think, anything with a browser, right? But
yeah, I don't. It's got to be supported. I have tested this rigorously on my PC, and it works like a dream. I've got to be honest, it works really well. Because I always get frustrated. You've got these quests that you do, to get your Microsoft reward points and stuff. Joel gave up on them. The last episode is like, screw it, I'm just going to buy it. And I totally understand that. But some of these you can only do on the cloud or on console. And if you just have PC Game Pass, it kind of prohibits you from getting involved unless you want to play them on your mobile, which I'm not a massive fan of that. But yeah, just open up a browser, straight in there, logs you straight in, and you're away. And it runs really, really well. I jumped in and out of a few different games. It's got that whole suspends, saves your progress and that. And if you've wanted to carry on a console or on your PC through the app, you can do that. It's really cool. I must admit, I'll certainly be playing a few games on there that I wouldn't normally have access to on the PC.
So I believe you have to use the Xbox Game Pass app to do the cloud gaming, and you can only cloud game or cloud. You can only play via the cloud games that are in Xbox Game Pass. Has to be in Game Pass.
You don't actually have to use the app. You can just open a Google a tab in your browser and then just literally just type in that xbox.com/play and it will take you straight in and it will log you straight in as well. If you've already got the app on your PC and it's installed, it'll just straight through and then you've got a load more games available.
And I use the Xbox app, which is different from the Game Pass app, because through that, now when I'm in a different room from my main TV and the console, I got the iPad, I got a Bluetooth controller. It can be either a PlayStation controller or an Xbox controller or anything else that's Bluetooth. Connect that to my iPad, go in through the Xbox app, and then it opens up my console and streams directly to the iPad. It's my console's running in any other room, and I can play directly to the iPad. And that is not just at Game Pass games. It's anything on my console I can stream, kind of like Remote Play for PlayStation. And that also works phenomenally well. I have not tried the cloud gaming yet, Carl. I got to try that. But just the Remote Play kind of connection is fantastic. I love that option.
Excellent. It's a game changer, isn't it? You know, if especially for a PC gamer, and if you know you can just open a browser and play it. You know, just sign up for 1 month for £1 or whatever, and you've got access to that whole library. It's excellent.
They also announced it's going to be an app native to Windows 11, which is due to release this fall. So the next version of Windows will have an Xbox app built into it. It'll have the cloud gaming right through your PC. I think this is a pretty slick feature. You know, when you think about check boxes on a console or grandma trying to pick out which one's best, this is a hell of a thing to have on your machine. In that console wars sort of competitive landscape, put a checkbox next to Xbox and nothing next to Sony here with this feature. I really love that they're doing this.
Yeah, it's definitely a string to their bow.
Sony, on the other hand, has been busy buying up some developers. One here in particular, Housemarque. They purchased. Now, Housemarque has made a ton of games for Sony in the past. They've been pals for years. They've been partnering together, but they've now officially bought them, making it so you never see another Housemarque game on anything other than a PlayStation device, maybe on PC. But you definitely won't see it on Nintendo Switch, I doubt. Well, maybe Switch. Who knows? Definitely not on Xbox. As those two companies dig in and kind of battle.
Oh, you never know.
True. Well, we got Cuphead, right?
It
happened.
You know. Yep. It's kind of surprising that they didn't already kind of own Housemarque, because they've been really, really close for quite some time. But, you know, there's a long list of, you know, some classic titles. You know, the Super Stardust and Super Stardust HD was, you know, we're all huge fans of. Dead Nation, another one that, you know, I think a lot of us still go back to and play every once in a while. Great little twin stick shooter, and you know, some good stuff there. Resogun, which is an instant classic on the launch of the PlayStation 4, and most recently Returnal. So there's some brilliant stuff in there.
And Returnal was excellent. You know, it really did. It was a step up for that studio, I think, in terms of the type of game, you know, mixing a few genres together and coming up with something, you know, maybe unique is a stretch, but it certainly was just different enough to really, you know, get the juices flowing, and a great game. So, yeah, you know, it's another studio under the belt, isn't it? It's just something else that they can, you know, get another exclusive or two.
Yeah, and a good studio at that. Have you played more of the Returnal, Carl? I know that sounds like a punishingly difficult game, and it's one you have to stick with and play a ton. Have you gone back to it?
I went back to it just so I had to beat that first biome boss. I had to get the first boss done because I just couldn't. It was kicking my ass, and I finally got him down. But no, I haven't beat the second biome boss yet. I'm looking for a key to a house at the minute, bizarrely. So the first world that you're in, there's a house, and you go into it. It's got this kind of Resident Evil kind of vibe to it, you know, and it tells a story of her, kind of when, you know, back on Earth, and a different kind of psychological horror kind of bits. But apparently the second biome, when you get there, you can find the key that lets you go into the house, because before I couldn't get into it. So I'm stumbling around trying to find that at the minute. But it's such a good game.
I'd love to try it, but it's what, $70, and
Yeah, don't pay $70 for it.
I'm just afraid I'm going to not be good at it and not get far in it, and it'd just be frustrating. And these $70 I could have spent towards Bucks tickets or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely one. Look for it in a sale. I'm sure it'll get there this year. Why not?
There's also a rumor that Kojima is in talks with Microsoft to make his next game a Microsoft exclusive. So that I would assume be on PC and Microsoft as far as console exclusive. Think that'll happen, guys?
100%.
Yeah?
Yep. Why
I
not?
could see that.
Why not try, working with a different platform? Bit of change, something different. And creative minds are, always looking for something different and, something different ways to inspire. So why not? It's good. And it's good for the industry, and it's good for developers too as well.
I always feel with Kojima is a little bit like.
Here we go.
Well, look, I'm not going to smash him or anything. I just think there's always like a huge hype, and he's got a real buzz about his games. He's got a very kind of rabid audience who like the games that he makes, and I feel like with Death Stranding, like it did hit for a lot of people, but at the same time, I always think he's not happy with these things after they're released. And like he's always got his next idea, and he wants to do something more. So, teaming up with Microsoft would be, a bit of a no-brainer, really, because you can kind of jump ship, and you got all the Xbox fanboys will be like, "Yeah, we got Kojima," and immediately he's got the hype building for the next game. So, would not surprise me.
Yeah, it seems like a perfect situation too. He's kind of a developer for hire, right? You can pay him a lot. He's in a good position that he's got the notoriety, he's got the reputation, making great games. They can throw a wheelbarrow full of a dump truck full of money at him. Can make one game there and then go wherever the hell he wants after that. And he already did it with PlayStation. So why not do it with Xbox next?
Yep.
Why not? And I would imagine they'd be the highest bidder for whatever game he's coming out. But I'm not sure he's out there bidding it. It's not like
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it's much of a bidding war.
No.
He's got the keys. Anything he wants to do, he's letting them know. That's the way I look at it. I think he's just been such a powerful force in the video game industry for decades. He's the one, writing the checks and whatnot. Seems like.
I wonder what it would do to the industry if he were to just make an Xbox game. Would it bring new fans to the console? I think it would.
No.
No? Well, then why do it, right? I'm sure it would.
They'd get some Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions out of it. But I don't see people buying a console to play one game anymore. Especially when you can just play it on PC and whatnot. Right?
I think that goes across the board, doesn't it?
That's a good point.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Xbox really is concerned at all about selling consoles anymore. Who knows?
Yeah, like slightly concerned because they make them and they want to make some money on them. But you're right. I keep forgetting this. When it comes to console wars, it's about Xbox wanting to sell that Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the box with it. But I'll re-ask the question. Will it sell more Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions? Will there be a bunch of Sony? Typically, Sony has had all of the Kojima games. So if it comes to Xbox, it's going to pull any of those Sony people over?
The folks that also play on PC, yes, 100%. But I don't know for people that strictly deal with the box underneath the TV, I don't know if that's enough. Right? You can always skip out on a game. It's not going to kill you. Or as we've seen in numerous instances, it can come over there eventually. You never know, right? Look at Mass Effect 2. Like you just don't know. It's to the point now where it's worth waiting, and then we'll see. It's at that point. So I don't really know. I mean, personally, I'm not going to go buy another console because there's one game that I'm interested in trying or playing. It's just you can't do it anymore. It's tough. right? It's tough financially, especially with all, add-ons to, play online and all these, nickel and diming that comes along with, buying a console. I don't think one game's enough for a lot of folks anymore.
What do you think, Carl?
I kind of agree. I think
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Why not? I mean,
Why not?
I think we are. Shane wins. We're also at this point, and the lack of new IPs and lack of new, we are at a scenario where it's all sequels, it's all remakes, remasters. We've come a long way from the point where I don't know, the Xbox had a great IP and a great game. You're like, oh my god, I can't wait for the 360 version of the sequel to it, and it's only the second game in the series. When I think now we're like, it's four or five games deep, some of these franchises now. I just don't think it rings true the same with people than perhaps it did. And you've obviously got on demand, you've got a multitude of different subscription services and things like that. Very much, I'm in the opinion that, yes, I'd love to play that at some point in time, but look at all this other stuff I've got to play in the meantime. It's a different, it feels like a bit of a different environment now.
And speaking of subscription, do you see Netflix is going to get into gaming?
Really?
Yeah. There was an announcement or a press release this past week, and Netflix is going to start dipping their toes in some subscription gaming. So we'll see what that entails.
Interesting. A lot of us have Netflix subscriptions, so if it's just built in, I suppose it'd probably be another tier. You need to spend an extra $5 on your Netflix to get that.
Well, right? They love adding their tiers, right? As soon as you get that new TV, you get like when I got my 4K TV, as soon as you plugged it in, turned the thing on, it's like, oh hey, we've noticed you have 4K. Would you like to experience a higher tier?
Yeah.
Opt out of it. Well, they've had some games on there already, like the Minecraft story modes and those easy platinum games. They've been on Netflix for a little while. You just play them with your TV remote.
Ooh, that does not sound great. Play with a TV remote.
I mean, it's you think about playing. That's
how I play FIFA against Carl. I use the PlayStation remote. I don't know if he's noticed, but just to keep it competitive.
That's why you're letting me win. Yeah, no, if you think about it, you've only got like 4 options, haven't you? Like in the normally multiple selection things, and then you just have a right, left, press a button to dodge an attack, things like that. So yeah, they've got those on Netflix. They work surprisingly well, in all fairness. So yeah, doesn't surprise me. I think they've dipped their toes, and I'm sure Amazon will follow suit with Prime. Might be some games on there.
We already have this problem now when it comes to streaming video content. No, at first it was Netflix, and that was great. And then there was Amazon Prime, and there's just a billion stupid streaming services now.
Yeah.
I hate it. But that's just it's the way the world's headed, right? There's not going to be one subscription that's going to give you everything. You have to piecemeal all this stuff together. That's kind of a pain in the ass from a gaming perspective because we're accustomed to having it all in one spot. Mostly. 3 spots. 4, I guess, if you count PC.
Give it another 10 years, people will be screaming for cable instead of all these different streaming services.
Right?
Like, I want to go back to cable. It's like, we're back where we started. There we go.
And cable's laughing all the way to the bank. Like, nope, you can come back. Yeah, but we sell them all. We sell it all separately now too.
Well, yeah, exactly. They got all their bundle packs of,
Yep.
And they very, very cheekily, they got their HBO and whatnot. Then HBO is like $15 a month, but for $18 a month, you get the bundle, and it's like 2 channels you've never heard of. It's like they're not even on the list or anything, right? Oh well,
that's like Hulu. Great, you got Hulu. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you wanted it without commercials? Yeah, that's gonna cost you more.
Right.
It's like, really? I'm paying for a service where you're gonna give me commercials? This sucks.
Right? Who's paying for who here?
But yeah, I'm paying more because I don't want commercials. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
The other day I'm a YouTube TV subscriber because I don't do cable. I do YouTube TV, which is the same fucking price as cable. And I'm stupid for doing this, but I do it. It's a matter of principle to me.
It's principle, yeah.
It is. Like I'll spend more money just to not be with cable.
Yeah.
It's stupid, but it's what I'm doing. The other day I got an email. YouTube TV is adding 4K and 5.1 surround sound. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't have 4K with my YouTube TV. I didn't notice that. So I clicked and I read the fine print. Sure enough, if you want to watch your YouTube TV in 4K, you have to pay more. It's an add-on. Good Lord, they're nickel and diming me there too. Unbelievable.
Well, you know who doesn't nickel and dime you? Nintendo.
Yeah,
Good band of gamers.
Good segue.
We'd never do that.
Nintendo Switch announced a new model. There's a lot of people talking about this. We've even mentioned it way too many times on this show that at any moment next week, before E3, all these different touch points, Nintendo's going to announce their new console. It's a pro console. It's going to be great.
And it's been like rumored ever since the original Switch came out. It's like, oh, they're doing a pro. It's coming. That's Christmas. Let's go. You know.
Well, that's what they do too. I mean, the Nintendo is known for releasing iterative versions.
Yeah.
So to be expected, but they announced an OLED model. So it's got a slightly bigger screen, 7 inches compared to 6.2.
Decent.
It's got a higher resolution. It's now 1920 by 1080. It was 1280 by 720. Does not support 4K when docked. So they did not add any additional television functionality to it. The dock now has a wired Ethernet port, which I always prefer to plug a cable into my console. I never do the Wi-Fi, so it's nice they finally added that.
Same.
It's got the same Joy-Cons. So even though they've got that drift issue that's widely publicized, they did not upgrade their Joy-Cons.
Gotta have those drift cons.
Same old drift cons. So there. I think it's a couple different colors. But that's the new Nintendo.
Nice.
It's $50 more. $349 compared to $299 in the US. And the rumor is they're still going to announce a Pro. I'm hesitant to talk about it ever again until they actually do. But apparently they still plan to do that, but just didn't think like the time was right. They didn't need to do anything more than what they, at least in their mind, what they just did. Announce this OLED model, which obviously is for those who prefer to game in handheld mode. Because the changes they made to it have everything to do with the handheld gaming, nothing to do with the television, with the exception of the Ethernet port.
And immediately got Vita fans all fired up, and Vita starts, trending and whatnot because of the OLED screen and that 10 years old technology, the Switch,
What was the size of that?
Ahead of its time.
The Vita screen, though, that was more like 4 to 5 inches, right? That was a little smaller of a screen.
Yeah, smaller screen, but that OLED, man, that's a beautiful handheld.
Still gorgeous.
Yep.
Totally. Shane, you buying a Nintendo Switch OLED? Is this pushing you over the edge? Somehow I doubt it.
Yeah, no, it's not, man. Not. I still do want a Switch, but timing's got to be right. Price has got to be right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just gonna jump on the first one that's coming out. Let's hold off again and again because I keep holding off every year. I said I was getting the Switch Lite. I do not own the Switch Lite, so yeah, we'll see. Switch Lite might be the way to go for me still.
Yeah, I mean, there's no docking that to the television though. You strike me as being a TV gaming guy.
That is true. I am a big TV gaming guy. Like they say, they used to call me in high school the TV gaming guy, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, man, I've been playing a lot of Vita, so the handheld, I'm gotta reestablishing my love for the handheld gaming. Those twin sticks.
Yeah.
That L and R buttons, that touch screen.
I barely touch mine, so I don't think I'd buy another handheld gaming device, to be fair.
Really? Ever? You're out.
You heard it here first.
Vita 2. If that ever happens, you're not buying that either. Market, put a line in the sand right here.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm a man of my word.
You would buy a Vita 2, Carl.
I don't know.
No, you wouldn't.
I think my days of handheld gaming are done, to be fair.
Yeah, same here for me. I'm not a big handheld gaming guy, so this doesn't interest me. A pro console, maybe a beefier Switch with a faster processor and some SD drive or some enhancements that are similar to what we just got with our PlayStation 5 and Series X. If my Breath of the Wild looks twice as good. on a pro console, count me in. But I'm going to be playing that on the TV, so there's no point in me buying this OLED model.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's always docked.
Always docked. So are you also out on the next bit of news here, Carl?
Oh, I don't know about that.
You just said you're not buying any more handhelds.
I know he was setting it up. This is classic English humor. He's just laid down the blueprint.
You see, well, there's handhelds, right, and then there's handhelds. So this Steam Deck that Valve announced looks an absolute beast. In all fairness, this gets me excited. But again, why don't we just read a little bit about it? They kind of come out of the blue, and Valve, obviously, they've got they're the big boys in the PC gaming marketplace. They've got the biggest storefront, biggest audience, I guess, for games. And it's long been rumored. They've had a few little things in the past where they fiddled about with hardware, and you've got like a streaming box to send it to your telly, and they've got controllers and things. And so it wasn't a massive surprise when they announced the Steam Deck. But it's literally dropping this year. You can pre-order it now, but you probably won't get one until next year. This is a pretty powerful little piece of kit, and the idea, I think, is basically giving people the ability to pay to PC game without actually having a physical desktop PC or even a laptop. So, kind of jumping on the Switch's popularity and saying, well, you can play all your Steam games, directly on this handheld now. It costs a few quid. It's $400, $529 and $649. In increments going up, and the only difference really is there's a slightly faster hard drive in the two more expensive models, and they are slightly bigger. That's the only difference really. The gubbins, the internal stuff in there is all the same, other than those two small points. But it's got 16 gig of RAM. It's going to have some decent performance. I think it's equivalent to about 2 teraflops of computing power. So if you think of how quick the original PS4 and the original Xbox were, kind of on a par with those, which isn't too bad at all, really, for such a small device. I mean, it looks chunkier than the Switch, but it's filled with all the same kind of double sticks, D-pads. It's got triggers on the back. It's got 2 track pads on there, like 2 mouse pads. So if you want to play mouse and keyboard, you can have your right or left thumb on a little mouse cursor. It's also got a touchscreen, which is, it just looks a really solid piece of kit. You can expand the memory as well. Whack yourself a huge memory card in there, and you're away. It's it looks really cool. I'm quite excited. I haven't pre-ordered one, but I do think if you are or have been interested in getting to PC gaming, this is a great way of saying, right, this could be your PC gaming machine. You can put the other storefronts on there as well. It runs on, I think, the Steam OS operating system, which it runs on, is a Linux-based system. So you could use the Epic Game Store on there as well. You could use the Xbox Game Pass on there as well. You could all these things you can install on there. You could have all your games in one place. It looks a very fun thing. It's a bit more expensive, I think, than the Switch, but if you've got a PC library already, this could be cool as well. And you get outputs to your TV. They're making a little dock for it, but I don't think you need it. It's cool.
For me, not being a Steam guy, not being a PC gamer, to me it seems like a complementary device that I would be able to play my Steam library on. So, for example, my buddy Adrian, friend of the show, he was tickled when Steam became available to remote play. I forget what that's called on Steam, but being able to take like an iPad or his phone to work and on break be able to play his Steam games with a little with a little controller, he loved it. He was telling me all about it. When this thing came out or was announced, I got a text. He's like, "Holy shit, this is exactly what I want." I mean, it's that experience he's been cobbling together, built into one machine. And he's like a lot of you PC gamers out there. He's got a giant Steam library. Like, this is fantastic. I can be at work on my lunch break and I can get access to all my library and play these games. So I think for someone like him who's been looking for that sort of experience, it's perfect. It's perfect. But I have 1 or 2 Steam games. I've never been part of that ecosystem. So for me, just to get into this, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would use I know what you said there, Carl, about it being like for somebody who doesn't want to do the PC gaming experience, but wants to play those PC games, this is a great device. I'm not sure if that's gonna happen, or if it's gonna be more like a complimentary piece. What do you guys think about that? So I was tempted to pre-order one, but I'm like, I don't even have any Steam games. What do I need this for?
Yeah, I think those that are really into the Steam ecosystem, like you said, Joel, I think this is almost a no-brainer. Like, it's definitely something to pick up. It would be good to have, and a good place to, have those games to, have on the go and whatnot. So I think it's gonna do really well. And Carl's confirming that it's a decent piece of kit, then you're good to go. And then if you take public transit or whatnot, we're a better place to play some Shower with Your Dad simulator than on the go, because it's a fantastic game.
Shower with Your Dad simulator.
Oh, it's a brilliant game.
It's a real game.
Yes, that was not a good experience growing up. They made a game out of that.
Right. Yeah, the developers obviously got some issues, but yeah, this thing was great. Like I haven't hit the pre-order button yet, and I think it's now you sort of look at Q2 2022 if you do want one. It costs like £4 to pre-order it. Just if you're on the fence, just do it. You've got plenty of time to change your mind if you don't want to get into it. But essentially, it is a PC. You can wipe it, you can install Windows on it if you want to. You could, put whatever you want to put on it. But I think you could definitely use this for somebody like me who's on, you've got all these different storefronts on your PC. It would be a great little, like you say, Joe, could be a great addition. I don't think I would use it so much. I don't really commute. I work from home now, so I don't really think I'd get a lot of use out of it. And my comments, joking aside about handhelds, it is true. I'm not the Switch is docked, so the Vita gets a little out in every now and again, but generally, I'm not really mad on the old handhelds. But this could change my mind.
Yeah, and a lot of PC gamers who are way into the hobby, they've got like these big gaming rigs, right? It's not on a laptop necessarily. It's a desktop rig. Like, this would be kind of nice. Take to the bedroom, take to the couch, lay it in bed, hanging out on the couch without having to be connected to your big gaming desktop. Having the capability to take it in the other room, I think that's pretty convenient, but not for $500.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think when you're that invested in Steam and playing games on PC is the cheapest place to play games, but obviously it requires that massive outlay to actually buy something to run them on in the first place, and this kind of gives you a bit of a compromise.
It's real appealing to someone like me who doesn't have a Steam library. There's a bunch of what is it, Shane? Shower with Your Dad simulator.
Yes.
So,
lots of those quirky little games.
Yeah, I mean they've got games in there that I can't get elsewhere. There's one I hear people talk about where you're power washing. It's like a power washing simulator, and that sounds amazing. Right. I would take that in the shower and take my dad out after some awkward situation. But no, seriously, there's some good games there in that library.
Yeah, good games that are cheap.
I just never thought of it the way Carl presented it. Now I'm thinking about it that way. Like, hey, wait a minute. I could get this, never touch a gaming PC, and still have access to those games.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It could be.
Decent.
Let us know what you're going to do. Send us an email, abogpod@gmail.com. Tell us if you're picking up this Steam Deck and if you're going to play it with your existing library, or if you're going to get in, like Carl often suggested, just to get into the PC gaming without having a gaming rig. Let us know. Of course, you can leave a review too. Review us wherever you listen. We appreciate that. Like, we got it's a new review here from Rob. 5 stars on iTunes.
Oh.
Said, awesome gaming podcast. Superb podcast with 3 very likable hosts. Great to hear just 3 friends chat about gaming and beers. Listen to Joel way back when he was Joel on a stick. Man, that goes back a long ways.
Really?
Keep it up. This is from Rob. Thank you very much, Rob. Appreciate the real positive review there. Thank you for listening. It's fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, or you can join us on Discord as well. Links to that on our website, abandongamers.com. Let's get into what we've been drinking this episode. Right. I think Shane's opening up a second. He's on a roll here.
Right. Some beers.
I love it. I'll get us started. I have got just been in a mood lately, man. These West Coast it's summertime. West Coast IPAs are the best in the warm weather in the summer. At least that's how it works here in Wisconsin. I don't know what it's like actually on the West Coast.
Right. So, but I'm with you on that. Sometimes in the winter you can get, they hit different, and
that's stout season, man. Winter stout season.
Yeah, but those West Coast IPAs in the winter, man, because they're so crisp. Whew.
They do warm you up. A good one to warm you up. Like this one's 8%, so this one can warm you up a little bit. It's a King Hippo on our boxing scale. I don't know. I didn't look at the chart.
Legend.
Let's go with that. So this is a double dry hop West Coast Hero. It's by Revolution Brewing out of Chicago. They make a bunch of great beers. And I think this must be a seasonal. I've never seen this one before. It came in a 4-pack. Usually they're in 6-packs. Cool little can. It's got like a little robot carrying guitar on there.
Gnarly.
Nice.
That's really sharp. That is a real sharp label.
Yeah, it's
Do you have any more of those?
Pretty cool. No, this is my last one.
Oh, bugger. Okay.
Shit. Sorry.
It's all right.
But it's got that nice color to it.
Oh, yeah.
It's West Coast IPA color. Double dry hopped, 8%er. It's pretty good. It's a very good West Coast IPA by some fantastic brewers out of the Midwest.
There you go. Carl, you drinking any beers today?
Well, funny you should mention it. I just ran down to grab one. I'm drinking
local shop, or
yeah. It's remarkable how quick I can get there and down and back. I'm drinking a Kingslayer double IPA from the good fine folks at Buxton Brewing. You can see it's got a nice little kind of greeny yellow can with a little dragon on there breathing fire. And this is just it's a pretty juicy, deep, hazy, packed full of fruit. It's the ideal beer for the cold weather. It was either this one or it was a stout, and I thought it's just just going back to that stout conversation. Stout is a winter beer, isn't it? It's a little bit too heavy for a hot night like tonight. But
except for Guinness, that's an exception.
Yeah,
that's a year round.
Guinness, but it's so Guinness is super weak in comparison, isn't it? So this is this is a damn fine little IPA. It's one of my faves, actually. I've had a few of these this year, 8%. So not sure where that comes in on the boxing scale, but it's you probably have a couple on a hot day, then you might switch to something a little bit weaker. But I thoroughly enjoy this one.
You get
nice.
You increase. You don't go weaker. You just keep stepping it up.
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes it's nice to go heavy first, and you get that nice little buzz early on. And then you can carry it on by switching down to a weaker beer.
Yeah.
It's like my festival.
Set the sails.
Absolutely.
4 winds at our backs.
It's my festival drinking mentality. You get up, you have a good few beers with breakfast, and then you crack on and go through the day, and then you obviously drink less and less throughout the day as you go along. And you just carry that buzz on. It's great.
It's a good strategy.
Hair of the hog there.
Hair of the dog. One more noise of the dog. Somebody's really hot.
I've been bugging Boombox every time they make a post on Instagram about, I guess what beer's coming back. I'm like, we should bring back Reflector. It's great. It's delicious hoppy lager. Not big, too much of a lager guy, but when the sun's out, guns out, right? What do you do? But their hoppy lager is fantastic. I really like Reflector. And then like a week ago, they made this post. It's like, guess what's coming back? And it was like, and I'm like, Reflector. And it was juicier as fuck. And so I went down to Parallel this morning where they sell a lot of Boombox products. And sure as shit, wow, they brought back Reflector. Delicious. Like I said, nice little hoppy lager. Not really much for the label, kind of mirroring Reflector-ish type thing. Beautiful beer, boys.
Ooh, look at that.
They've changed it up this go. They changed it up. They're using the Citra hop. I don't know what that is or what that means.
Come on, man.
It does taste a little bit more hoppier than I remember, but just as delicious. So
Citra hops in all my favorite drinks. That's a great hop right there.
Okay, noted.
Yeah.
Noted. I'll have to buy some Citra hops.
Yeah,
and in his coffee.
Eat them plain. Like sunflower seeds. Just pop them Citra hops.
Right.
All right, gentlemen.
Chew.
Raise them glasses. And quite the variety of colors here between that lager, Carl's hazy and my West Coast kind of clear.
Ooh.
Yeah. To Rob. Thanks for the review, Rob.
Yes.
Cheers, Rob.
Cheers.
Beers.
Delicious.
Good beers, man.
Well, one more bit of conversation here before we close out the episode for hopefully 2 weeks. Get back on track here. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. We gave our initial impressions last episode. But Shane and Carl both completed it. So I figured we'd circle back and get like some final impressions, maybe a little review, if you will, your overall feelings on Ratchet and Clank. I'm still maybe about a third of the way through, so I got the shame cone on here. ABOG,
right.
ABOG cone of shame.
Oh man. Well, I mean, we talked a bit about it before, didn't we? So we, probably just keep it short and sweet. But I've found the whole thing thoroughly enjoyable. If you played the one before this on the PS4, kind of just it's a bit closer to that, I guess, than previous iterations. I really enjoyed the kind of the weapon leveling up, the RPG light elements of this. As you go through, you're unlocking bits of armor, little collectibles, little cute little things where you can tweak the experience. Just little graphical things, different kind of hues you can have, and just some fun stuff. And then the actual weapons themselves, you go through, you have to buy the weapons, you then upgrade the levels through different stages, and when a weapon reaches level 5, the maximum level, it kind of gets a new name. The name changes, and it's a slightly different weapon, and just an over the top version. And that was half the fun, really. Just leveling all these different weapons up, and then realizing you could turn yourself into a real badass. Like by the time you've leveled up a few of them, and you have your favorites, but just found that super cool. The armor that you collect through doing little challenges and little rifts, special rift challenges on each kind of world. Again, they've got stat bonuses, like if you're wearing if you're wearing a pirate set, you get a little perk. If you're wearing like the Galactic Ranger outfit, you get a little, maybe an experience boost or more nuts and bolts and things like that. It works really well. Like you never have to think too much about it. You kind of just pick these things up as you go through, and it's just like, oh, that's pretty cool, and I'll spend a bit of time just leveling this up and that up. But I enjoyed that. I think it looks beautiful. Joel, I know you talked last episode about you were playing it in performance mode, and I was playing it in fidelity mode, and I switched to performance mode, and it looks even better.
Yeah, it looks great in performance mode.
It's lovely. The ray tracing is unreal. Like when you put it in photo mode and you kind of zooming in, and you can catch, you zoom in on Rivet or Ratchet's face, and you've got like your helmet on, and you can see the reflection of everything that's going on in the screen, and the reflection in the helmet. Like if you're zooming in the photo, it's mad. Absolutely crazy level of detail. It's I don't know. It felt longer than I thought it would be. Like people are saying, it's like 15 hours or whatever, the story, but certain parts of it did feel a little bit longer than I thought it would. And just as I started to think, I wonder when it ends. It was kind of over, and I was like, oh, okay. That kind of comes upon you quick. Then realised there weren't many trophies left for the platinum, so I got the platinum as well while I was at it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. There's only one point in there, and there's one of the worlds where you've got these little purple kind of gems that you have to hit, and it changes the reality to a different dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to hit all of those in that level, in that world, and it pops a trophy. But there's a point where you can only access, it's like a rail grind thing, where you're zooming through the level, but you can only get access that once per playthrough. So if you don't hit the one purple thing that's on that rail as you grind through, you have to replay the game to get to that point.
Oof.
So that's the only thing I think that's a bit of a stickler for the platinum. But I thought it was super game. Really, really enjoyed it. I think, like with Returnal, you've got these particle effects, all the different weapons and stuff, and it just, it's fab. It's a real pretty game to look at.
Unbelievably beautiful. One of the best looking games I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, showpiece.
Definitely a showpiece to show off that PlayStation 5. And it's good. I struggled a little bit starting out. It wasn't really grabbing me and whatnot, and some kind of repetitive. Wasn't too hot on it. And then I got through the level where you have to where you meet up with the fixer, and from that point on, it was just like, whoa. All right, the bar is officially open now. Let's go. All the level designs from then on out were magnificent. Really, really great. It started to change things up a little bit more, with your style of attacks, with, a lot of the same kind of enemies throughout, but, different settings and whatnot really, really helped and, kept it fresh. I thought the story length was about right. Once I finished it, it was like, okay, I am good for a while. I just played through the main story bit, want to experience that, and it was good. And I think that's some good Ratchet and Clank action for me for a bit. Maybe I think I finished with around 60% of the trophies ish. So we'll see. We'll give it a rest for a bit and maybe go back and attack it and try to knock off that platinum eventually. But yeah, it's the real deal. It's a really good game. Not just saying like it's a really good Ratchet and Clank game because I haven't played a lot of them, but it's just a really good game, and I think every PlayStation 5 owner should experience it and play through it because it's definitely worth it. Definitely for the eye candy, and it's a pretty decent story too.
Nothing else, Carl?
I was just going to say, I think it's one of those games that probably is worth 70 quid. I do struggle with recommending because they're so, paying that much for a game is a bit daft, but I think there's enough in there, it's just a high quality experience, as you play through, and you think, definitely glad I played it. I think I would say just pick it up and play it. We're in a position where there's not too many games out on any of these new consoles, so I definitely wouldn't sleep on one of the best.
We kind of listen to
it's one that's I think it's worth having in your collection. Definitely, if you're a PlayStation fan, you've grown up. I'm assuming with these games in the past and whatnot. Maybe the price point. If you need that little push to get over that, then here it is. Do it. It is that good and it's worth it. And it's not absolutely perfect. It's got a few bugs here and there. That I noticed that I struggled with a couple times, but it in no means broke the game or anything like that. Just little things that as a longtime gamer that you'd notice, but it is very, very good. I'm actually really impressed. Cleaned it up, finished it up last night, real late, and was damn proud to play through that game.
Did you get any slowdown in it at all, Shane? Because you're talking about bugs, and a lot of people have had issues with bugs at different points, and I haven't had any of that. But every now and again, I get a little bit of slowdown. It wasn't so much you could have loads of enemies on screen at any one time. That was never a problem. But just the odd little, you got these rocket boots, and if you kind of accelerate through, sometimes it'd just lose a few frames, and then all of a sudden you'd be at full speed. Just a couple of little things like that.
Like a little jitter, almost just a little. Yeah, exactly. Just, and it was just, and not enough where it'd be like, "Oh, hey, what is going on here? This is a video game." I thought, it was just like after it's already done, you'd be like, "Did it just?"
Did I just see that? Did that happen?
Yeah, exactly. It was just, it was so minimal, but it would happen here and there, and especially like you said with the rocket boots. But it was, I didn't notice any like real. Like slow down with a lot of enemies or anything like that. Just like a couple little hiccups like that, or I got stuck behind a rock at one point. Kind of like you would back in GTA and whatnot. You get stuck in a spot and and then you get out of there. Okay, that's
like I think I had that happen a couple times as well. I had to reboot to get out of that spot.
A reboot. Ooh.
Yeah. You can't just blow on a controller and get your guy up behind a rock. Right. I mean, can you?
No, you wish.
Yeah, it's not Astor's Playroom, buddy.
Yeah, I will just say.
No, but they're minimal though, like real minimal, and but it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would just say one of my favourite things about the game. You won't get it until when you collect 10 the 10 spy bots in the game. You unlock a secret weapon, the Rhino, whatever it's called, and it kind of not the Rhino. What's it called?
Yes.
Maybe it's called the Rhino, but it is summoning
Rhino.
like random things from the dimensions, like your own little dimensionator.
Oh.
But when you level it up to maximum level, and this is the level of detail that's gone to the game, you summon in some characters from other games and some things from other games.
Really?
Sure. So, and that's hilarious. Like you kind of, I won't spoil it by giving you all.
I got to reinstall this.
But let's, like, you at one point you summon it and it kind of falls in and there's a big explosion and all the enemies scatter. But if you collect on one of the worlds, you're given a task to collect these 10 Lombax orbs, which talks about the lore of the Lombaxes, basically. And those coincide with this weapon. Like the things that you pull in, it coincides with the lore and the planets that this guy visits when he maps the whole multiverse. And it's really fun. Like, summoning their Sly Cooper with his cane. And it's like, what? It just stood there. And there's loads of those, like little things. You'll have to play a bit and discover some of them. But some of them blink and you miss them. Some of them will stick around for ages. Like they're really cool. But just thought it was just nice to see. You can see where they've done the game and they're like, right, let's put some love into it now. And it just made me smile.
That's awesome.
That's brilliant.
I didn't know they did that. Man, I need to stick through. Finish this one up.
Yeah.
Insomniac Games now part of Sony, so they'll be console exclusives going forward, right?
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah. So
and arguably one of the best developers out there.
What would you like if you could go back through their entire catalog? What would you like Insomniac to do next? Sticking with the Sony PlayStation console, obviously. Looking back through their history of great games on the platform, what would you like? Maybe a reboot or a sequel of?
I would say Sunset Overdrive.
That's one I've been meaning to play, but that's currently only Xbox, right? Exclusive.
Yeah. And I had it on when I had the Xbox One, and it didn't really grab me. Like I tried, I wanted to give it, good because they have a great pedigree and whatnot. And
yeah,
I would.
It's like a cult classic.
I'd like to give it another try. And I don't really want to go buy a console just to play it again.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I think because it is loved by a lot of people, that game. A lot of people really did enjoy that one. It deserves to, have a chance on the PlayStation console as well, I think.
Didn't it get sort of...
And I would say that vice versa if, Death Stranding, definitely deserves a chance for, the Xbox players to, give it a go as well. Right? So who knows? I'm not dropping rumors. Stop. People are tweeting already. Like, it's coming to Xbox. Skippy said so. But I think that would be the next thing I'd like to see them do, is maybe bring that one to the PlayStation console, and then maybe another Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't played Miles Morales yet. To be fair, that's probably might be next up.
Same.
When I get to it, probably for me. And again, I haven't really played Spyro either. So maybe Resistance. Like Resistance 2 was pretty good, right? That was. It seems like we haven't had one of them for ages, and we kind of got, I don't know, oversaturated with those. But yeah, maybe a new Resistance game.
Yeah, that's the one I was going to pick too. The first Resistance, I absolutely love that game. Where you're in like the World War setting, World War II, I believe, setting, but with the aliens sort of involved. The shooting mechanic in that game, a lot of people talk about Halo being the best shooter on a console, or Destiny, as far as the way the guns feel and you're aiming and everything. The fluidity, the smoothness. I'd put Destiny and Halo right there at the top. And Resistance. I think that original Resistance.
Yeah.
The PlayStation controller didn't feel, at the time, it didn't feel comfortable as like a first-person shooter controller. It just, the way it was set up didn't feel like the same as like an Xbox controller where I played Halo. The offset sticks felt more comfortable for a first-person shooter. But Resistance changed all that for me. It made that controller feel like, you know what? This is a good first-person controller, first-person shooter controller. It was just a slick game. And then they kind of took it a different direction with 2 and 3. I mean, 3, I think, had a big emphasis on like grinding and MMO style like elements and stuff they threw in there. Just take it back to a great campaign in the World War setting with the aliens. I'd love like a reboot, if you will, of Resistance. I think I would love to see Insomniac do that.
Good show, dude. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, I'd say Spyro, but I haven't played it. Much to a lot of people's surprise, but again, I did buy the remaster though when they released. I just haven't tried it yet. But those games look fun.
I wonder what's
the Year of the Dragon. I think was the one Spyro game that was really good. Actually.
Yeah, I think that was the third one.
I got to play those.
Then they went off on the Toys for Games. What do you call that? Toys for, forget the term they used. You could buy the little toys. Skylanders.
Skylanders.
That's kind of where Spyro went. I just don't know if Spyro has the same sort of attraction it did many, many years ago. I don't know if people would cling to a new Spyro game. Maybe I'm wrong there. Obviously, Crash Bandicoot was rebooted, and everyone seems pretty happy about that. So who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I quite enjoyed that other shooter that they did with EA, whose name escapes me. God damn.
Black? No. That was
No.
Criterion.
Fuse. That wasn't too
word.
bad. A lot of people had. That's what gave it me. You had the one word answer. I quite enjoyed that. It's like a little bit Tom Clancy kind of with your 4 dudes or whatever, and like a little squad based shooter. But that was quite interesting. Just something a little bit different. But talented studio. We'll have to wait and see what they do next.
I love the color. I mean, you look at Sunset Overdrive and this new Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
And throughout their history. Resistance, not a good example. That was a very dull, dreary world that they were in there. But I just love how they have this colorful, eye-popping worlds in their games.
Very comic booky.
Yeah, and they have like a special sheen to them. They really do a great job building a exciting, action-packed world. Spider-Man too. I mean, man, I got to play Miles Morales too.
Same. Let's do it, guys.
Next episode.
I got to beat Ratchet first. This is catching up to me. I got to beat Ratchet before I can move on.
Right. Well, I got the Bucks this week.
Yep. Yep. So if you're listening to this right away when it drops on Tuesday, that night, I'm going to be at the Bucks game, hoping for a win. I won't be, considering how much money I spent, I won't like, stab a bitch on the way home if they don't win.
Nah. Got to be there though.
But I'm really hoping, I'm very optimistic that they get that. So cheer for me and wish me luck. Wish my team luck, because if that happens, man, I'm going to be on cloud 9.
Right.
Good Lord.
Have to call him an Uber.
I'm going to have to call in to work the next day or something. It's going to be partying all night down there.
Right.
In the Deer District.
I was toying with booking Wednesday off and getting up at 2 a.m. to watch it. But don't know. I'll have to see how busy I am this week.
Be a state holiday.
No, yeah, it should be. No, I've got my fingers crossed, man. I hope so for my good friends in Milwaukee, and it's just one of them things, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, probably, hopefully not, but just in case, you got to be there, man. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to think they get there every year, but it's been 50 years, so you never know. They do got Giannis. He's amazing.
Yep.
Greek freak. All right, started with sports, but closed with sports. Let's get the hell out of here before people are scared away by our sports chat.
Sports.
Thank you very much for listening. We appreciate you. Sorry for the delay there and a couple weeks off, but that's what happens.
Right.
Gotta live those lives, but we hope to be back every other week. At least we'll do our best until the next life event happens. But then, we ain't going anywhere. You're stuck with us.
Yep.
Hit that subscribe button.
Mm-hmm.
You're stuck with us together.
Too bad, so sad. All right, let's go watch some sports, guys.
All right, see you later. Cheers.
Boy. Fierce.
Cheers.